Yo, welcome back. I am glad you are here, and I am even more glad you are not currently dragging me to a networking event, a loud bar, or a mandatory team-building exercise where we have to trust fall into the arms of an accountant named Gary. If the thought of those things makes you want to fake your own death and move to a cave in Iceland, you are in the right place. Today, we are diving deep into Quiet, the Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain. Now look, before we get started, I need you to do that thing that every YouTuber begs you to do. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell. It feeds the algorithm, and honestly, it's the easiest social interaction you'll have all day. You don't even have to make eye contact with me. Just click the button. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. So here's the deal with this book. We live in a world that is absolutely obsessed with extroverts. Society basically tells us that to be successful, happy, and confident, you need to be the loudest person in the room. You need to be the guy high-fiving everyone at the sales meeting, or the girl dancing on the table at the wedding. But Susan Cain wrote this book to say, actually, no, that is nonsense. She argues that we are sitting on a gold mine of talent, creativity, and leadership because we keep telling introverts to shut up and act like extroverts. If you are an introvert, this book is your validation slip. If you are an extrovert, this book explains why your quiet friend looks like they want to murder you when you surprise them with a karaoke party. Let's break this down to the core lessons, starting with the big one, the culture of personality versus the culture of character. Cain starts by explaining that historically, we didn't always worship the loudmouths. Back in the day, like in the 19th century, we lived in what she calls a culture of character. The ideal person was serious, disciplined, and honorable. Think Abraham Lincoln. The dude was quiet, awkward, and prone to depression, but people loved him because he had integrity. It wasn't about being flashy, it was about being solid. But then the 20th century happened. We moved into big cities, we started working in giant corporations, and suddenly you were surrounded by strangers. You couldn't just rely on your reputation anymore because nobody knew who you were. You had to sell yourself. We shifted into the culture of personality. Suddenly, the self-help books changed. They went from titles like Character, the grandest thing in the world, to How to Win Friends and Influence People. Think of it like buying a car. In the culture of character, you bought the car because the engine was bulletproof and it would run for 20 years. In the culture of personality, you buy the car because it has spinning rims, a custom paint job, and a horn that plays La Cucaracha. We stopped caring about the engine and started obsessing over the paint job. Cain points out that we now assume the best talker has the best ideas. And that is a dangerous assumption. Just because someone can speak with confidence doesn't mean they aren't completely incompetent. We've all had that boss who speaks in buzzwords but can't convert a PDF to a Word doc. That is the culture of personality in a nutshell. Moving on to lesson number 2, the biology of introversion, or as I like to call it, why you are like a high-end gaming computer. Cain dives into the science here, specifically looking at the work of a guy named Jerome Kagan. He did these long-term studies on babies. He would expose these infants to random stimuli, loud noises, popping balloons, the smell of alcohol on a cotton swab, just weird stuff. And he watched how they reacted. Some babies stayed super chill. They didn't cry, they didn't thrash around, they were low reactive. You would think these chill babies would grow up to be the quiet Zen introverts, right? Wrong. These chill babies actually grew up to be the extroverts. Because their nervous system was not easily overstimulated, they needed to go out into the world and find excitement to feel something. They're the people who go skydiving or enjoy crowded nightclubs because their internal baseline is pretty low. The analogy is this. Extroverts are like those rugged Jeeps. You can drive them through mud, bang them around, take them off-road, and they're fine. In fact, they're boring if you just leave them in the garage. They need the rough terrain. Introverts are like a finely tuned NASA-level supercomputer. They're incredibly powerful and can process complex data deeply, but if you smash on the keyboard and pour Mountain Dew on the motherboard, the system crashes. You're not antisocial, you just have a hardware sensitivity. When you leave a party early, it's not because you hate people, it's because your hard drive is full and your cooling fan is spinning at maximum speed. You need to go home and reboot in a dark room. All right, let's talk about lesson number 3, the myth of the new groupthink. This is my favorite part because it validates my hatred for open plan offices. Susan Cain rips apart the modern obsession with collaboration. You know how every modern office looks like a playground? No walls, big long tables, constant brainstorming sessions. The idea is that if we are all jammed together, magic creativity will happen.
Susan Cain says, this is absolute garbage. She looks at the research and finds that for real creativity and mastery, you need solitude. This is called deliberate practice. You cannot get good at playing the violin if you're constantly being interrupted by Gary from accounting asking if you saw the game last night. Look at Steve Wozniak, the guy who actually built the Apple computer. He didn't build it while brainstorming with a group of 20 people eating pizza. He built it alone in his cubicle at HP late at night. He said he never could have done it if he hadn't been an introvert working in solitude. The analogy here is group projects in high school. We all remember them. Did the group project ever result in brilliance? No. It resulted in one person doing all the work, usually the introvert who just wanted to get an A, while the three extroverts talked about who they were dating and maybe colored in the title page. Susan Cain argues that we are drowning out the best ideas because we force everything to be a committee decision. Brainstorming sessions are usually dominated by the loudest people, not the smartest people. If you want innovation, let the quiet people go into a hole, do their thing, and come back when they're done. Stop forcing them to collaborative synergy meetings at 2 p.m. Lesson 4 covers leadership, the myth that you have to be loud to lead. We have the stereotype that a leader needs to be a General Patton type, yelling orders, charismatic, larger than life, but research from Adam Grant at Wharton shows something really interesting. Extroverted leaders are great if the employees are passive and need to be told what to do. But if the employees are proactive, meaning they have their own ideas and want to take initiative, extroverted leaders are actually worse. Why? Because the extroverted leader tends to dominate the conversation and accidentally shuts down the other people's ideas. They feel threatened or they just don't listen. Introverted leaders, on the other hand, are like that coach who sits on the sideline and quietly nods. They're better listeners. They let the proactive employees run with their ideas. They're not obsessed with their ego, so they're more likely to adopt a good suggestion from the team. Think of it like this. An extroverted leader is like a DJ at a wedding. He's on the mic, he's hype, he's controlling the vibe. That's great if the crowd is dead. But an introverted leader is like the conductor of an orchestra. He's not making a sound. He's just making sure the violin section and the tuba section come in at the right time so the whole thing sounds like a masterpiece. You don't need to be the DJ to be in charge. All right, now we have to address the reality of life in lesson number 5. Sometimes you have to fake it. This is what Cain calls the free trait theory. This concept comes from a professor named Brian Little. The idea is that even if you are a hardcore introvert, you can act like an extrovert for the sake of a core personal project. This means if you care enough about something, your job, your kid, your art, you can fake the extroversion. Professor Little is a massive introvert. He hides in the bathroom between lectures to recharge, but when he's on stage, he's dynamic, funny, and engaging. He's acting out of character because he loves teaching. The key here is the restorative niche. If you're going to fake being an extrovert for an hour, you need to build in recovery time. This is the deal you make with yourself. It's like wearing a really uncomfortable tuxedo or high heels to a wedding. You do it because you love your friend who's getting married. You look good, you smile, you take the photos, but the second you get to the hotel room, you rip that suit off and put on sweatpants. That moment of putting on the sweatpants, that's your restorative niche. Cain says you can fake it, but don't fool yourself into thinking you can wear the tuxedo 24/7. You will burn out. You need the sweatpants time. Finally, let's talk about relationships, the introvert-extrovert love connection. This is the classic sitcom dynamic, the quiet husband and the loud wife, or vice versa. Cain explains that the biggest friction here usually comes down to conflict resolution. When an extrovert fights, they often want to yell, vent, and get it all out right now. They view the conflict as a form of engagement. The introvert, however, views conflict as a massive drain on their battery. When the fighting starts, the introvert wants to withdraw, lower the volume, and process things internally. This drives the extrovert crazy because they interpret the silence as not caring. The extrovert screams, "Why aren't you saying anything?" And the introvert shuts down even harder. It's like a dog and a cat trying to play. The dog is barking and jumping, thinking, "This is so fun, we're interacting." The cat is hissing and backing into a corner, thinking, "This beast is trying to kill me." The solution Cain offers is understanding the biological difference. The extrovert needs to lower the volume and give the introvert space to think. The introvert needs to force themselves to speak up a little sooner so the extrovert knows they are still emotionally present. It's about meeting in the middle. The dog needs to stop barking, and the cat needs to come out from under the couch. So let's wrap this up with the conclusion. Susan Cain isn't saying we should get rid of extroverts. We need them. We need people to host the parties and run the energetic sales meetings. But the world has tilted too far in one direction. We're losing out on the brain power, the empathy, and the deep thinking of the quiet half of the population. If you are an introvert, stop trying to cure yourself. You aren't broken. You don't need to learn to be the life of the party. You need to structure your life so you can do your best work. Ask for the quiet office. Skip the optional networking event if it drains you. Use your listening skills to lead. And if you are an extrovert, look at the quiet person in the room. Don't ask them, "Why are you so quiet?" That is annoying. Instead, ask them what they're thinking. Then shut up and listen. You might actually learn something. This book is essentially permission to be yourself. In a world that can't stop talking, there is massive power in shutting up. That's the summary of Quiet. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want me to summarize more books so you don't have to read them, please seriously hit that like button. It helps the channel grow, and it validates my existence as a content creator, which is ironic because I'm sitting in a room talking to a microphone. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay quiet, stay powerful. Peace.